All right, you Mu doggies. I'm going to just go ahead and show you how to actually operate this contract, since it seems like some of you guys don't actually understand smart contracts and how to actually use them. So I'm going to show you how to actually operate this contract here, which is actually the Mu DAO contract. All right. So first thing that we're actually going to do is we're going to come to this contract here, and we can do some stuff. We can actually look and see what the next proposals are. We can actually look and see if there are any proposals. Here is actually a proposal to actually crash the Mu price, and it was voted no, let's not crash the Mu price. So we can know that those proposals are there because we can see the next proposal ID is 1. So that means that there must already be a proposal 0. All right, proposal 1 doesn't exist because that's the next proposal ID. So we can see that there is no actual proposal here. But since this was 1, we know there must be a proposal 0. All right. So now we can actually look and see, do we have any actual shares? So let's grab our address here, and we're going to do this. First, what we're going to do is we're going to go to Trader Joe's. We're going to trade. We're going to trade some, we're going to connect our wallet, I guess. Initialize wallet. Let's refresh. There we go. All right, so we're going to trade some USDC. We got, okay, apparently we got some. So what we're going to do is we're just going to buy $1,000 worth of Mu coin real quick. All right, and then we are going to take our $1,000 worth of Mu coin, and we're gonna get some Mu gold. This all I'm sure you know how to do. I just need to get this Mu gold so that I can get some Mu ore. Transaction failed. Transaction failed for some reason, so let's just try that again. 1,000. Let's just try it again. We're gonna try it again.
Okay, let's try it.
We're trying.
Freaking try.
Let's try. We're trying. All right, so that looks like it was successful. We got some Mu coin there. We got 9,917. So now we're gonna actually convert this 9,917. We're gonna
You came to see as well. Means alright.
Oh, I was gonna say something was definitely glitching there. Let's get some Mu gold. We're gonna get 925 Mu golds. Now that we got our Mu golds, we're gonna get some Mu ore, get some Mu money. Mu dot money.
You got money? Ah.
Mu dot money.
You got money. That's cool, Mimi. Mimi is rich.
Alright, we're already connected. We can see we got our 927 Mu gold. Be quiet, Mu. We're talking about you. We're just gonna go ahead and actually approve this. Now what's actually happening in the background? What's happening in the background here is what you're actually going to do on the smart contract. So this UI here is actually just calling functions on a smart contract. All right. Now, since we don't have the UI for the Mu DAO, then you actually have to call the functions yourself with the smart contract. But basically, what's happening here is if you look at Mu ore, what has actually just happened is you have actually approved this Mu ore contract to spend your Mu gold. So on this Mu gold, there is essentially, if you look at the contract, there is an approve function, and this approve function takes a spender, an address, and an amount. So whenever you've actually first hit this approve, what you've done is you have actually called a function on this mu gold contract, and you have given it the mu or address, and you've given it whatever value that we've put in here. So that would essentially look like this. Our spender this is the mu or contract, and then we're gonna do ETH to weigh 900, this value right there, this value right there. We've essentially called this function. Whenever we hit approved, literally what has happened is literally this function right here has actually been called, all right? And then now that we're actually ready to deposit, what is happening here? What's actually happening here is if we look on this contract, we can see that there is a deposit function, deposit for. So we have basically put in our 9,000 and we have put in our address here. All right, and this function has been called. So that's what just happened here. So the approve function called contract on a function. When we did approve, we called this function here on mu gold. And then when we did deposit, we called this function here. And now if we actually want to withdraw, and we want to withdraw our mu or, we would essentially be calling this withdrawal function here. All right, so we would actually be calling that function. All right, so hopefully that makes sense. So now what we're actually going to do is we're going to come to our Mu DAO. All right, and this is Mu DAO version 1.0, we can see. We're going to come over here and we are going to connect to Web3. And then what we're going to do is we're going to deposit. And what we're going to go ahead and do is we're just going to deposit 500 of our tokens. Now, these tokens are going to be deposited into the Mu DAO for us to actually do things in the Mu DAO. All right? And if we want to create proposals, we need 25, and then if we want to vote. Now, we can see that this says we can't estimate gas. This means your transaction is literally going to fail. We're going to go ahead and process it anyways to see what the error is, but we really already actually know what the error is. The error is the Mu DAO wants to spend some of our mu or. Basically, it wants to take mu or out of our wallet and deposit it into the Mu DAO, but we haven't given the Mu DAO actually permission to do that. So we need to call an approve function. All right, so we're going to come over here and we're going to see an error that says something about transfer exceeds allowance. Yep, ERC20 transfer exceeds allowance. That means we're actually trying to transfer, and this deposit function, we're trying to transfer some amount, but the amount that we're trying to transfer, we haven't actually approved that amount. All right, so what we would actually do is we would come over here and we would come to the Mu DAO. We're going to grab the Mu DAO's contract address. We're going to come back to the mu or, and we're going to call this approve function. And we're going to paste in the Mu DAO's contract, and then we're going to paste in the amount that we wanted, which was 500. So 500, that's 500 Ethereum, 500 whole units. We need to convert that to a base 18 to a decimal, 18 decimal number. So we would see 500, and then we would see essentially 18 decimals. So we're just going to actually use this for the conversion. We're going to come over here. We're going to put in this amount. And now we're going to hit write, and we are now going to essentially approve this contract. So we are approving this contract to spend mu or on our behalf, to basically take mu or out of our wallet and transfer from our balance to somewhere else. All right. So we've had to approve that contract because that contract can't do it without approval. Now that we've actually approved that contract, we can go back to the Mu DAO. Now we can actually call this function. All right, but before we call this function, let's go to this read contract and let's look at total shares. And I can see that there are 0 shares in the DAO. All right, now I do see that there's 50 mu or in the DAO because it seems like people have just transferred 50 mu or into the actual DAO. All right, so it seems like people are just actually not using a deposit function, they are just transferring. All right, and we can look and we can verify that because we can see somebody has sent in 25, somebody else has sent in 25. So they've literally just sent their tokens either through their MetaMask wallet, they've went into MetaMask and they've basically went here to their Mu or, and they have went send, and then they've put in the contract address here, or they have maybe went to the Mu or and they've used this transfer function, which literally this transfer function is the same function that actually gets called whenever you go send like this, all right? It's literally the same thing happening. MetaMask is just talking to this function right here and calling this function. So it's the same thing that has happened, all right? So they have actually done that, and now I'm not laughing at you. I mean, I kind of am laughing at you, so don't get upset about that. And now there's 50 Mu or that they have lost. They will never get that back, because if you actually come look at the code and you look at the contract, and I will rectify this in Mu or version 1.2 to allow for things in case this happens. But if you look at the code, you won't see in the Mu DAO any type of, you won't see any type of remove tokens. You will see a withdrawal function inside here. So you can see that there's a withdrawal function in here, but you can see that the withdrawal function requires that whoever is calling whoever is calling, which is message.sender, that they have shares that are greater than or equal to the amount that they actually want to withdraw. So if you want to actually withdraw, then whoever is withdrawing, you can look, this shares is actually just a mapping. It's defined right up here somewhere. So you can see here is a mapping called shares, and it just has an address and a number. And the address is whoever actually puts it in there, and the number is how many shares that you've actually put in there. But you can also see that that value only gets updated whenever there's a deposit. So if you deposit some amount, you can see that your shares are actually updated with that new amount. All right, and then we basically transfer our token, which we can see our token right up here is this contract right here. And if we were to go actually look at this contract, we'll see it's Mu or. You can see that's Mu or. All right, so, but other than this, you can see there's a create proposal and there's a vote, but you can see that there is no withdrawal tokens. So the only way you can withdraw tokens is this withdrawal function, and the only way you can actually do that is you have to have shares. And now, even though we can see that there's 50 Mu or in here, if we go to this read contract and we go to shares, it shows that there's 0 shares, because these have just been sent to the contract versus actually deposited. All right, so what does that mean? That means that those Mu or are stuck in this contract forever and will never come out. All right, now if I look at my own wallet address, I can see that I have 0 shares. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to come over here and we're going to come in and actually now do this deposit. Remember what we did is we came and we called this approve function. We approved this address, which is the Mu DAO's address. We approved that address to be able to actually spend 500 of our Mu or. So now we can come over and we can call this function and say, hey, we want to deposit 500 Mu or. So now we're going to actually call that function. All right, so now we're going to actually call that function, and there's a big difference, and we'll actually see that difference here in a minute. We're going to see this now go from 50 to 550, and then we'll also see whenever we look at this shares value that I will now have 500 shares, as you can see. And then if I look at this value, I have to reload this value. If I look at this value, we can see that now there is 500 shares. There's not 550. And if we look here at these transactions, we can see a big difference. We can see that in these transactions, there is a deposit function here. And if we look at these transactions, we can see an in here, okay? So we can see that there's 500 coming in. We can see here is 25 coming in, here is 25 coming in, but let's look at the difference between these transactions here, all right? When we look at this transaction, we can go in and see that this transaction, when this money came in, it came in via deposit function. And if we look at this transaction here, we can see whenever this money came in, it did not come in a deposit function, it came in via a transfer. okay? So hopefully you can see the big difference. This money came in through a transfer. This money came in through a deposit. We only keep track of deposits, which is why whenever you look at the Mu DAO, there's 550, but of those 550, you can see 25 came in, 25 came in, 500 came in. If we look at this 25 right here, we can see it came in from a transfer. The other 25 came in from a transfer, and 500 came in from a deposit. All right. So apparently we lost our Mu DAO. There's our Mu DAO. All right. So hopefully that makes sense. And now if I actually come look at my own contract or my own wallet address. Now if I come and actually look at my own wallet address, I can put in shares and I can put in my value and I can see, boom, there are my shares. All right, so now if I want to actually create a proposal, I can create a proposal. I'm going to give it a name, and it is going to be remove liquidity from Mu Inu. Okay. Alright, I'll just make this simple because I know what some of you guys want to do. Why? I know some of you guys, what you're actually wanting to do is you're actually wanting to get whitelisted so you can freely sell whatever Mu Inu that you actually get. All right, so this is how I would actually make that proposal. I'm going to go in and actually now create that proposal. So I'm going to create that proposal. Now once I actually create that proposal, I can see a proposal has actually been created. All right. So I can see a proposal has actually been created here. And then now if I come back to the Mu DAO and I look at the next proposal, I can see the next proposal ID is 2. So that means that there must be a proposal 0. And here's proposal 0. Here's the actual creator. And there must be a proposal 1, so here's the proposal 1. So I can see who created it, I can see what they want to whitelist their address, here's their actual address that they actually want to whitelist, here's when it's actually created at, and then if you want to vote yes or if you want to actually vote no, and what the status is, alright? So now if I don't know what any of this stuff means, again, I can just go look at the code. And then I can see inside the actual code in the Mu DAO, let's see, do we have any things? Let's see. Okay, so we can see that we have voting options, yes and no. We have status is accepted, rejected, and pending. All right, so it looks like a vote is 0, a no is 1. All right, that's what it looks like. Could be actually wrong. It looks like a status is 0 is accepted, 1 is rejected, and a 2 is pending, is what it actually looks like. All right, so let's go vote. So now we're going to come in and we're going to vote on a proposal. We're going to give the proposal ID, and we're going to essentially give our vote, and our vote is going to be a 0. And now we're going to go in and actually vote. So now we've voted on that proposal and we've voted yes. So now we're going to come back over here. All right, now we'll query this again, and we can see that the status is 0, all right? And what was that? What did that mean? Well, we don't know. So far it's accepted, rejected, pending, all right? So this is, actually should be a pending, so I'm not sure why it's showing that it is. Let's go look at it again. Status is 0, created at, so right now, all the votes are for yes, all right? So there's 500 actual votes for yes, and if we look at the contract, we can see that proposal status, when we created a proposal, status is actual pending. Okay, so we can see why it's, we can see right here in the logic, if proposals vote for no times 100 divided by total shares is greater than 50, then it's actually rejected, all right? So what does that mean? That just means as soon as a proposal gets, more, so we can see that there's a voting period, all right? And that voting period, I believe, was 14 days. So there's actually a voting period of 14 days. And then we can also see here that in a proposal that we need more than 50% of the total shares, all right? So right now, there was only, and we could see there was only total shares, 500 total shares, all right? And all 500 of those shares have actually been voted on. they've actually been voted for yes. So this proposal is accepted because more than 50% of the votes of the total shares have been voted for yes, okay? So in order for this to be no, there would need to be 501 shares, so somebody or some bodies would need to deposit at least 501 mu into the actual DAO, and they would need to use that 500, either one person or two person or three people, you know, maybe have 6 people, 5 people deposit 100 mu and one person deposit 1, and then every single one of them vote for no. Then it would have 501 no votes and 500 yes votes. So more than 50% would be voting no. So this would be a proposal that is not actually accepted, other than the fact that it is still, it still has not actually crossed the amount of time where people can actually vote. All right, so again, if we look at the code and the contract, we can essentially see in the code, and again, this was just actual version 1, so in version 2, things that we could essentially do is we could create this controllable. I have other plans, essentially different types of proposals, and then there's going to be a bunch of different other functions here, because the functions would be things that would take proposals that have a specific type as an actual parameter, and then they would actually be calling the functions on the smart contract. So for an example, to blacklist somebody would be a function called blacklist, and it would take as a parameter, it would take a proposal that has a specific type, which would be a blacklist proposal, and it would need that proposal. You would need to actually send it that proposal, and when you send it that proposal, only if it's a valid blacklist proposal that was voted in yes, could it actually execute the blacklist function that would then call the blacklist function on the Mu contract and blacklist somebody. All right, so hopefully that actually makes sense, but now you can see how you can actually go in and vote on a proposal. You can see the proposals that are actually there. You can see the vote counts on the actual proposal, and you can use the DAO before we actually have the front end UI. So hopefully that made sense. If it didn't, then I would just wait until we get the front end UI, The biggest thing that I would not do is I would not send any mu or to this actual contract, all right? Because you won't be able to withdraw it. Now, I won't be able to withdraw any myself right now, and the reason I won't be able to withdraw any is because I have an active vote. And it's not, I have an active proposal with the vote going on, so, and again, we can actually look at this contract, code. We can look at this withdrawal function. Actually, I can apparently withdraw. I think I can actually withdraw. Looks like I can actually withdraw. So let's try to withdraw. Let's withdraw. We're gonna withdraw. We're withdrawing. We're withdrawing. Okay, it's gonna let me withdraw. I'll get my mu or back. So I get mine back. Now once I get mine back, we're gonna go in and actually look at this at this proposal and the vote. Okay, so you can see the Mu DAO sent me my 500 mu ore back. So I've got my ore back. I got my ore is not stuck in the contract forever like some of your guys is. Some of your guys is just stuck in the contract forever. Unfortunately, you're never gonna get that back. So let's look here. So here I can actually withdraw my things while there is a vote going on, and I've actually created a proposal, which is not really good in the DAO's perspective, all right? So from the DAO's perspective, it's not really good that I've created a proposal and I've actually voted on that proposal, but now I don't have any stake in the game. Now I've withdrew my mu ore, I've went back to the website, I've unwrapped it to got mu gold, I've sold my mu gold, I've got some mu coin, I sold that, I'm completely out of the ecosystem, but for some reason, I still have a proposal going on, and I'm still voting on something. So that's not good, which is again why this is actually just version 1. That's again why this is actually just version 1 and not the final version. This was actually just version 1 to get our very first version going, because we're not even so big yet, right? So hopefully we can trust each other, and we can actually work together to build a great ecosystem, and we can be working together, not against each other. And as we get bigger and bigger, obviously we'll want more and more. We'll want more and more protection, and to have things protected. Not that we can't trust each other and we're not going to work together, but we should make sure that there's no bad actors that can come in and do stupid stuff like, hey, go in and skew votes and then not even actually have any skin in the game or anything like that. So obviously if you have a proposal that's been created and you're voting on that proposal, well, you shouldn't be able to vote on another proposal. You shouldn't be able to withdraw your ore from the DAO while your vote is actually being counted, things like that. So that will obviously just require a more complex smart contract, but hopefully you got the basics. Hopefully the biggest thing that you can actually understand is do not transfer tokens to this address. If you want to create proposals and vote, you need to use the deposit function. And in order to use the deposit function, you need to first use the mu ore function, the mu ore contract, and you need to call the approve function, and you need to give the Mu DAO's address there. All right. So you need to go to the mu ore contract. This is mu ore, and you need to go and you need to actually approve the Mu DAO, which is this contract here. You need to approve the Mu DAO to spend your mu ore. Once you do this approve function on the mu ore contract and you say, hey, I want the mu ore to be able to actually take some mu, I want the Mu DAO to be able to take some mu ore out of my wallet and deposit it into the Mu DAO for me, because I'd like to participate in the actual DAO. Only after you do that can you actually do this deposit, and it will actually work. If you transfer, if you come over here and you go to your mu ore and you go send, and you send, you've lost your mu ore. You're never going to, I don't want to say you're never going to see it again. You can see it again. You just come to this contract. You just come to this contract and you look right there and you will see it right there. It will always be there. All right. So I'm not going to say you're never going to see it again, but you will never have it in your wallet again. Okay. It will never be in your wallet again. You can still see it. You just come right here and you look right there. There it is. It's there. It's there forever. It can't come out. All right. There's no way to get it out. We'll build a way in the next version. And the next version, we'll build a way to recover tokens. If people accidentally just send their tokens there, we'll build a way to actually recover those tokens. And version 1, I didn't actually build any way to actually recover those tokens because I didn't foresee that people would be using the DAO before I got version 2 built. But apparently they are. So now you know, definitely don't send your tokens there. If you want to use the DAO, you need to use the deposit function.